good.
So what you want to do is make sure that both of you are sharing in the same vision for this relationship. And you want to revisit that several times throughout the relationship to make sure that you're both moving in the same direction. Because sometimes we do grow apart. Sometimes I'm still following the vision, but she decided to go somewhere else. And maybe I don't realize it. Maybe you haven't been paying attention to what's going on in your relationship. This is how you know if you're on track. This is how you know if you're still working together. This is an early warning sign if the relationship is working. Because if you revisit your plan and you find out that you're working towards the shared vision and your partner's only working towards their vision, now you know there's a problem. Because you both should be working towards your individual vision, but you also both should be working towards your shared vision. And your partner should support you in doing so. But in doing your vision, you don't just want to stop there. You want to have a mission statement. You want to understand the values, because the values is how this business is going to be ran. If I value honesty and trust, that is what's very important to me in this relationship. If I find out I can't trust you, now we have a problem. If I value fidelity, and you come home and you're being honest with me, hey, you value honesty? I cheated on you. But I also value fidelity. Now we still have a problem. Because you want to discuss up front, early on in your relationship, what are your values? If I'm a Christian and you're a Buddhist, we may have a problem when it comes to our religious values. If I'm a spender and you're a saver, we may have a problem when it comes to our financial values. How many couples get together and talk about values? Some do, some don't. But it's important to get to that early on, because you want to base your vision for your relationship off of your values. Do I value children? I don't want any more kids, but maybe she wants 2 more. That's a value problem. These are things that you have to understand. And these are things that some people don't want to talk about. You don't want to get involved in that because you don't want to lose the relationship. So I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. That's not handling your business. Your relationship is a business. And if you're not handling the business of your relationship, you're going to lose your relationship. Mission statement. My mission statement is that I want to be with you for the rest of my life. This is my plan. This is how I plan on going about doing it. I plan on making me the best me that I can be. I plan on spending time with me and loving me so that I have more of me to give to you. Because I can't give you what I ain't got. If I lose confidence in myself, what can I give you? A shell of a man. If I lose my job and I don't believe in me, I don't know how to recover from that. So what can I give you? A shell of a man. Or maybe I sold out somewhere along the line, and now money ain't a problem, but I still have no self-esteem, because I have no morals, because I don't know what I can do, because I steer away from challenges. I've taken the easy road, and in taking the easy road, I've gone against my own personal beliefs so that I can make money. What do I have to give you? All the material stuff maybe you want, but what do I bring to the table now? Outside of money. If all you're looking for is money, then maybe that's what you want. But if you want a man of substance, then you can't have that, because this man has no substance. So what is your mission? How do you plan on running this business? What are you going to do on the day-to-day basis to get to where you want to go? What are you going to put in to make this relationship last? So when we talk about your vision, figure out your personal vision. What is it you want in your life? And work towards that. Figure out your combined vision as a couple. Where are we going with this relationship? How do we know if we're on track? Then put together your mission statement and talk about your values and work it out. The third thing that we need to do is give as good as we get. Giving as good as you get. That means give to your family. Make time for family. Make time for your partner. Go out on dates. Set a date night. Be spontaneous. Go out together. You've got to invest in that relationship. But you can't stop with just the relationship and the family. You've got to have a support system. If all you have is your kids and your husband or your kids and your wife, you're not living a full life. You may find that if something happens to your partner, you're left alone. So connect with family. Connect with friends. Have your own hobbies. Have your own life. You cannot intrude upon someone else's life 100% of the time. You got to know you. You got to have things that you want to do. Things that you do that are strictly for you. You give all you can to your family, to your partner, but then you got to give to yourself. Because you got to get as well as you give. So every now and then, maybe you need a night out with the girls. Or a day out with the fellas. Or maybe you just need time alone. Have your partner take the kids so that you can have your time. I suggest starting off with at least 1 hour a week. Get to where you can give yourself 30 minutes a day. Because you need time to pamper yourself. You need time to take care of you. So you got to give as good as you get. You have to build a support system. You have to connect with your kids. You know, have that communication, spend time with them. But you also need to connect with your partner because it's important for the relationship. With everything going on in the world, if you don't invest in that relationship, you're going to find that you're one of these statistics of this war. But in doing that, you also got to have time for you. You got to love yourself. But then you also got to have friends. Because you got to have something that's yours and not ours. And it's okay to have our friends, but it's also important to have my friends. And you have your friends. And I have my time with my family. And then we can have our time with my family. And you have your time with your family. And we can have our time with your family. You see, there's two people in this relationship. And then there's the kids. In every relationship, you have two people, but you have three entities. There's you, there's your partner, and there's God. And God fills in that space in between. And you've got to nurture the space in between. The space in between is all the people who were pulling for you. Your mom, your dad, your siblings. It's all the people who were against you. Your so-called friends. The people who said, oh, it's never going to work. The children. It's everybody who's going to be affected by it. How many times have you seen couples break up and they have to decide who gets the friends? Because this was our friends. That's a horrible thing. You know, okay, with our friends, we got to split them, but my friends are still my friends. And your friends are still your friends. You see, you need that support. It's important, but you got to nurture that when the relationship is good. Because that is God. God is all there is. So God is that space in between. God is those kids who are going to be affected. God is that best friend who you talk to on the telephone. God is your boy who you're balling with. God is your work people who care about you. You know, the ones who talked to you when you were sad. God is all those people who you touched their life and your life touched them. So you got to nurture all that. And if you only connect with your partner and you don't extend yourself beyond that and you don't feed those relationships, you're not nurturing it. So you got to give as well as you give. The fourth principle, a good friend of mine who's been married for a quarter of a century says being married is about forgiveness. Every single day is forgiveness. Because none of us is perfect. And we're two separate individuals. I assure you, as much as I'm standing here, I'm going to get on your nerves. And believe me, you're going to get on my nerves. And there's going to be something to forgive. Forgiveness is a spiritual practice. When you learn to forgive, it's not about forgetting. It's not about saying you didn't do this to me and act like it didn't happen. It's about saying, I forgive you. I'm not holding on to that energy anymore. It's about saying, it's done, it's over. Let us move forward. But don't do it again. And so forgive. Because whenever you forgive someone else, you're forgiving yourself. Because the reality of it is, whenever someone gets on your nerves or make you upset, it's because there's a need of yours that's not being met. So the issue is really with you. That person may be the catalyst that set it off, but the issue is with you. Let me illustrate. We're going to talk about a guy, we're going to call him Jim. Jim dated Kenya for 7 years. Kenya's not the kind of woman who likes to be close. She'll want you all up in her space all the time. It's okay, let's love each other, but then let me have my space, you have your space. After 3 years, they moved in together. The last 4 years, they lived together. But Jim was used to leaving and coming as he pleased. He didn't come in late most nights. She knew by 6 o'clock he would be in, maybe 6:15 at the latest. She knew this. But every now and then, Jim showed up about 8, 9, sometimes even 10 o'clock. Never was that an issue for her. She didn't care if he called. She cared if he came home. Obviously, if he was out all night, that would have been a problem. But there was never an issue with when he came home on the rare occasions that it was late. But needless to say, things didn't work out between them. And after 7 years, they said their farewells. And they parted as friends. Jim meets Tanya. Tanya's everything he wants in a woman. She's perfect as far as he can tell. But Tanya is a person who needs closeness. And he knows this about her because he's paid attention. So usually, if he's running late, he'll call Tanya or he texts her to say running late. One day, he gets caught up at the office and he shows up 23 minutes late. Tanya's at the door and she is livid. Initially, her mind was thinking he could be laying shot on North Avenue bleeding to death. He could be in jail. He could be. But then all those he could be thoughts turned to, he's cheating on me. And the remainder of the thoughts was he's cheating on me. And it grew and it grew until it consumed her. And when he came in the door, she was red. She was upset. She was angry because he was cheating on her. He wasn't cheating on her. But those were the thoughts that consumed her. Not maybe he's working late and he'll call or he'll be here. But her thoughts was that he was cheating on her. Now she hadn't given up the thoughts that maybe he was shot or in jail. But they kind of moved to the bottom because he's fooling around on me is what took over. So he comes through the door and not realizing that in this moment he forgot to text or call her this particular time. He's greeted with, "Where were you?" Now he's on the defensive because when you greet someone at the door with, "Where were you?" we back up like, "Oh, okay, did I do something wrong?" So now he's backpedaling and he's trying to defend himself and he's trying to explain, "I had to work late." Well, ordinarily you text me or you call. Why you didn't call this time? There's no answer to that she wanted to hear. The answer is it just slipped his mind. But that doesn't fit for her because you've always done it before. So now she has an issue. Do you see how he is the catalyst, but it's her issue? After 7 years with Kenya, it never once mattered. Never once. And it's the same situation. It was one of those rare times when he had to work late and he came home late. But Kenya was like, "Hey, how are you? Food's in the kitchen. You know, help yourself." Tanya is not that woman. Tanya is, "I need to know where you are. I need to know that you're okay. I need to know that you're not fooling around with me." So the issue actually lies with her, even though he was the catalyst. Anytime we have a situation, it's because a need of ours is not being met. So in understanding that, we have to always be in a state of forgiveness. Because if my feelings got hurt from something you say or something you do, I have to look at me first. What was my need that was not met? Have I communicated this need to you? Is there any means of us working this out? What are we going to do about it? So forgiveness. If I forgive you for something I feel that you did, and you did do it, but it was more my issue, then I'm forgiving me because it helps me to get over it. And forgiveness is a tricky thing because people can say the words, "I forgive you," but that don't mean we let go of the energy of forgiveness. How do you know when you no longer have the energy surrounding that? When you can talk about what happened and it means nothing anymore. When you can mention the person's name or the event and it means nothing anymore. As long as there is an emotion behind it, you have not fully forgiven. I don't have time here to go into tactics for forgiveness, but I will share this one. If you are stuck in a situation and you just can't forgive, write the situation out. Exactly as it happened. Burn that piece of paper and write the situation out the way you want it to happen. Burn that paper and write the situation out in the form of an apology letter. And what I mean by that is, I apologize for being thoroughly pissed off and terribly upset that you came in late last night or the other night, whatever it was. And I know that we can discuss this and we can work this out. I feel bad that I acted the way that I did, and I forgive you, and I hope that you can forgive me for going off on you when you came through the door. Sign your name to it. Doesn't have to be anything more than that. But it's putting it out there. And this one, you just fold up, put in an envelope, you never give it to the person, you never send it, you don't burn it, you just keep it. And at some point, when you really no longer need it, you throw it away. The fifth principle. The fifth principle is get naked and stay naked. And I'm not talking about taking your clothes off. I'm talking about communication, being psychologically and emotionally naked. We have relationships.
You mean with regard to forgiveness, or
with regards to
I'm-
relationship? These
okay,
are 5
I'm
tips.
stuck on the forgiveness part. Do you mind if I
No.
go back
Go
there?
ahead.
Because I feel like sometimes people find it hard to forgive because they're afraid that person's going to do it again. But that's not because of what that person's done. That person's triggered off something that someone has done previously.
Exactly.
So they're stuck there in that past.
Exactly, which is why it's their issue, not the other person.
Not the other
person's
person's
the catalyst.
issue, exactly. So how do you get beyond that? For instance, I have a situation where my parents, for years and years and years, I went through a lot of abuse, in the home. And I grow up and end up in an abusive relationship in my earlier years. And of course, like, you get to a point where you have that knee-jerk reaction, because anyone that comes to you, or relationships that come to you, even in business, can appear abusive if you allow them to come in. So with that being said, about a year ago, my sister came to visit. I hadn't seen my sister in years. I let her back in, and my nieces, who I'm trying to get establishment, end up stealing from me. Right before they left the country, because they lived outside the country. They end up stealing from me. But I'm stuck in a situation where it's like, if I mention something, then her and my parents are going to come, well, you always start something, and that will trigger all this bad stuff all over again. So I'm kind of, with my nieces having done that, I've had people in business do that to me as well. So when you talk about forgiveness, it's like forgetting it is what it's
Not forgetting. You don't forget.
You don't forget it.
In a situation with what you're dealing with, and like I said, I didn't want to go into it, but since you asked the question,
Yeah, I
here's a
wanted to
good
get, 'cause I want to
there's a lot
clear
of ways
this,
of dealing with it.
clear this up. Yeah.
What you need to do is first, you want to take time, you meditate, right, Cindy? Go into a meditation and start off with a conversation with yourself, okay? This is your foundation for the forgiveness, because it begins with the self-love. Talk to yourself and assure you that you are here to protect you, that you love you, and that you did nothing wrong, okay? Spend about 30 minutes talking with you and telling you how wonderful you are and sharing your love with you. A day later, now you can come back, because what you're going to have is repercussions from your family. A day later, go into the same meditative state and visualize your niece and have a conversation with her, exactly telling her how you feel about what she did. You get that energy out. So you have that conversation in that visualization. Hold nothing back. Just, I don't mean beat her up, but tell her in a mature way. Sit down with her and look, this is how I feel. We're
During the
family.
meditation.
During the meditation.
Meditation, yeah.
So it's not really her.
Yeah.
But it's still,
Yeah.
everything is
Or
energy.
spirit.
And so the only connection that is real is the connection that you believe in. The reality is all of our spirits are connected as one. And I'm not trying to go deep down that path, but I need you to understand that to understand what's working here. So when you're talking to her, her spirit, no matter where she is in the world, feels your communication. But the energy you're holding is real energy. And
Because
you
it
need to
does
release
feel
it.
it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay.
So you need to release it. So sit down with her and tell her, this is how you hurt me. Your family, and I love you. I can't believe that you would come into my house and do this. If you asked, I would have given these to you. Say what you need to say, but say it as an adult. What I mean by that is, you after none of that. None of that. Because when we get angry, but we start to use the animal brain, the limbic brain. We go back to the caveman days, and we have evolved above that. So we don't want to get to our basics when we're dealing with people, especially not in forgiveness, because you get locked in, and it's easy to get locked in, and it's harder to get out. If you deal with it from the mature Cindy that you are today, as the spiritual person that you are today, and you're sharing with her, 1, the words come. 2, the emotions come. 3, sometimes the tears come. But it's the emotions, the energy that you're holding on to. So you share that with her. Once you share that with her, the next step is then, a day later, 3rd day, you're going to do a couple things on the 3rd day. On the 3rd day, you're going to address your family. Your mom, your dad, her mother. You're going to address your family, all the people who would give you some slack because of what you're saying. And you would address them. Call a press conference in your head and say, look, I had a talk with whatever your niece's name is, and we talked things out. We worked this issue out, but it needed to be said. Whether you guys needed to be said or not, I needed to say it because I honor, I love, and I respect myself, and I would be less than who I am if I did not do what I had to do, which is share my emotions with her. So you do that, and again, run it about 30 minutes because you want to get it all out. You want to share with them because part of the issue is her, but a bigger part of the issue is them. And that's why they're last. You are the foundation. You got to make sure that you're okay with you, that you're loving you the way you need to be loved. Then, from a loving position, you can talk to her because you got all that energy that needs to be released. And it's about what she did. But then, here's the people who made you feel a certain way when you were young. And brother, I don't know if you noticed or not, but most of us, in our formative years, between birth and 8 years old, is when we learn what's called homeostasis, what's comfortable. If you grew up in a household where it was very abusive, even though you know it's not right,